Welcome to Apex Mountain. We are starting a series on YouTube dedicated to the Paramount Network series Yellowstone starring Kevin Costner. I'm here with my good buddy Jacob, and he has not seen this. So Jacob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about this.
That's good. So I want to point out that for the first episode, we are watching episode 1, or reviewing episode 1 of Yellowstone, which was Daybreak. That was episode 1 of season 1. Episode 2, Kill the Messenger. And episode 3, No Good Horses. When did you end up watching these? Was it last night?
No. I think I watched the first episode. That's like, I don't know what it is, 2:40 or 2 hours and hour 45, something like that. I watched that probably 3 or 4 days ago. I've seen it one other time and then just kind of sat it down. I do this a lot with TV shows. I did this with Breaking Bad. I did it with Game of Thrones. Anytime I know I'm going to like a show, I almost am more hesitant to pick it up because once I start something, I can't put it back down. So, I watched it again just to get reacclimated, and then watched episode 2 and 3 at the same time, back to back, last night.
Awesome. So while we get into this, it starts out with John Dutton, who's played by Kevin Costner, and essentially he just got into a car wreck, and we really don't know what happens. He has to shoot a horse, which is like, what the hell is going on? Cops show up and they say, "Oh shit, that's John Dutton," and then it goes to the reel, and we're like, what? So all right, they already know the guy.
Yeah,
he's probably a pretty big name. I mean, what's the first thing that comes when watching it for the first time? What was going through your head when you first saw it?
Well, I mean, a lot going into it, I suppose. It's going to be a Western of some sort. That he's not going to be a poor farmer. I mean, walking into it that it's going to be about kind of a family dynamic, and we'll get into it later with later episodes, but it almost feels like the mafia meets the West more so than an actual cowboy movie, or cowboy television show. So, I just enjoyed his kind of calmness, and it was neat to see Kevin Costner in this role. We've done him on our main podcast, a couple episodes of a few of his movies, and it was just nice to see him a little bit older, a little bit more gruff, and I think it was a quality start to the show to let you know about kind of the potential darkness of the show. This isn't going to be Grandpa's 1950s black and white cowboy show. This is going to be probably gritty.
Very true. And I think one reason it starts with Kevin Costner is I think a lot of people come to this show because of Costner, and they want to watch it because of who he is. And I think showing him first plays out well before they really show anybody else, to let them know kind of who's in charge and things like that. And then as we move on, it talks about his kids, his oldest son Lee, and then you've got Beth, his daughter, his son Jamie, and his youngest son Casey. And they're all different in their own rights. Lee is kind of like the guy who's going to be taking over the farm. Beth she kind of doesn't she has nothing to do with the farm, doesn't want anything to do with it, but she does care about her dad and will do anything for her dad. So when she was younger, she kind of ran off to the city and didn't have anything to do with it. Jamie, who's the third, he just kind of is different than everyone else. It seems like the dad got him into Harvard, I think, and got him to be a lawyer. And the dad said, the best way to help the family is if you become a lawyer. And then Casey was a former Navy SEAL, and then he comes back home. He's got issues with his dad, and he actually marries a Native American woman, and they live on the reservation there. And so the first episode is pretty much, the
character building.
For sure. But what I really like about this is that they don't just give you everything. And as you see, and even the second, third episode, you get to know more about them, but they don't just say hey, Beth, thanks for, telling us all about you kind of thing. You're really hidden. Why is she the way she is? She's very off-putting and degenerative to a degree, and I really like this. So what are your thoughts on that?
So I know you kind of said at the beginning, but I just want to reiterate for anybody watching or listening. I have not seen any of the episodes other than the ones that we are going to be talking about. I'm not going to go ahead because I think it's kind of fun that I'm the person who is watching it for the first time, because I think a lot of people will be doing that too, leading up to the new season. And then you're the person who's seen it all and is just kind of reliving it leading up to it. So I think we represent both potential groups that jump in on this. And I'll just be asking you questions from time to time. I don't want you to ruin anything, but it's just like the feeling I'm getting at the time, because I think that's where we would kind of intersect. Yeah. They've all left the farm for reasons that are specific to them. Obviously, Casey's got the military background, which falls into play in later episodes and at the end of this episode. But, Beth's kind of a hard ass, and Jamie's the lawyer type and everything. In a situation like this where it's clearly about keeping the property, keeping the land, it's about the family and all that, it's weird to me that they all left. There's probably more to it than that, I'm guessing. Is this more of a, was there a falling out, like Kevin Costner, like John's character just being like, everybody just get the hell out? Or did they all leave at their own times? It just seems weird to me that they all left and now they're all back.
Right.
In some way, it almost seems like those crappy movies where it'll be like a dad dies and all the kids who hate the dad come back for the funeral, and like they're all back in the house. Yeah, they all come back to the house they grew up in, and it almost felt like that as a viewer. Like right. Everybody's just like all of their stories are realigning. Like they weren't there last week, and we get to come back home with them. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, so I don't think Lee ever did leave.
Okay.
He's the guy that's going to be taking over. He's going to be John Dutton in 40 years.
He hopes.
Right. Beth, we'll get into later in this episode, actually.
Yeah.
Jamie, he sent Jamie off.
Okay.
To go become a lawyer and then come back because
he needs that.
Yeah, and Jamie's character is weird. He's got this evil look just from day one. He's got this weird ass look in his face.
Right. They all have insecurity, but they all wear it completely different.
For sure. And then Casey, I think he just went off. I don't think they ever talk too much about why he went and joined the Navy SEALs or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it does talk about what later on, and it might not even be in season 1, but he talks about what his issue is with his dad and things like that.
It seems to me like they all have issues with their dad, and I mean, we'll talk about this. We'll get into this with the next 2 episodes too, but like John's parenting style, if you'll call that, and John's real purpose and like what he's fighting for. And I think he's an interesting character that we might be jumping the gun to talk about right now, but, yeah, it's a really weird dynamic, a family dynamic.
It is, and unfortunately, Lee in this episode gets killed, and right. He was a character I could see being very cool, mm-hmm. kind of the fourth off. Because of that, mm-hmm. because of Lee dying, now John Dutton says, "Beth, I need you to stick around. Like, please don't run off because I need you right now."
Right.
He kind of does the same with Casey. Hey, kind of need you around here too, and also I want to know my grandson. Yeah. And they've kept him away, and it's very interesting why. But that'll be obviously later on. Mm-hmm. Getting into, I guess, what is actually going on in the series so far. So there's a land developer that's coming in, and he's trying to take some land, purchase it from the Duttons, and make some. Get some people to move to the area,
right.
Shopping malls, whatever it may be. Dan Jenkins, and he's in it. He's going to be in it for a while, kind of fighting the Duttons, and it's a cool character. And then you've also got kind of a third fight going on between Thomas Rainwater, who's the chairman of the Native American tribe there at the reservation, and he's kind of got a vendetta out, kind of like you took this from my people
ancestor, yeah.
many years ago, right? And so that's kind of what this episode is all about is, the cows grazed onto the reservation. Yeah. And so now it's technically their cows. And,
I really like Rainwater as a character. I think he's interesting. I think he's kind of written to be just kind of mainly a pain in the ass right now. I don't think I'm supposed mm-hmm. to like him. Yeah. But the actor, Gil Birmingham, does a good job, I think, of wearing a lot of it on his face. And to me, I can already tell that there's more there with him, and I'm excited to see his career arc because I'm interested in it. I like that he's here. I think it's really smart that he's here, because if he wasn't, the show would be a little clunky, because it really is just all about the land. And if there isn't some overarching moral dilemma, if there isn't a rainwater situation, I don't know how you could start the takeoff of this show.
I agree, and it's cool. These three people will butt heads with each other for a while. There'll be more people coming and going,
of course,
and this and that. But these three are going to be fighting each other. I mean, even through season 3, I think they're still going after each other. So season 4 is going to be exciting. I can't wait to see that. And this is why I like, doing this, because for the listeners, we're going to roll right into season 4, and we're going to try and do a weekly recap episode of the season 4 season, which should come out in June of 2021. So pretty cool. But so moving on into that. So the real action doesn't start for an hour at least into this. And so the cows graze onto the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
The Duttons, by the way, they're pretty high up in government in Montana anyway. He's banging the governor. He is the Wildstock or Livestock Commission. So that, and so he gets his Livestock Commission crew to come and try to get these cows back. And they said, no, it's on the reservation. It's ours now. And gets into a big fight. Casey is in a dilemma because his family is fighting, his wife's family and where he's living, who he's around, who his friends are and everything. And I don't really, he's kind of in La La Land almost for a little bit before he sees his brother get killed. And I think the actor actually talks about this in some reviews, that he's like, this is the last time you'll see Casey like this.
I watched the same video. It's a good short one. Paramount put it out. Yeah, it's a good one where he's like, you just met a character and you'll never see him again, essentially. Like from this moment on, he's always going to be post Lee's death, which is pretty significant. And a lot of big time shows start out like this, that they start out where everything's already in movement. If it feels like a first episode of a show, it's not a good first episode. You should feel like you're walking in on an environment and a family, and it definitely feels like that.
Yeah.
And that sudden break of, because I don't know Lee well enough, because obviously no one does. We didn't get to see much of him, but he almost seemed like the Rock, like the consistency. Like, here's the kid who's definitely going to be John Jr., if you will, and everybody else, they have aspects that'll be helpful, but they're not the bread and butter that is being a full-blown Rip kind of styled farmer. And now that he's gone, it really throws a wrench in Costner's situation. So,
yeah, I agree. I kind, like I said before, I wish we could have got more of Lee, but as we get in further down the line, he kind of takes, without getting into much, he kind of takes Rip under his wing as kind of another son, which we'll see later.
Which already feels like would be an organic move for me. Just watching the first couple episodes, Rip seems undyingly loyal and the equivalent. 100%. The equivalent of a son,
Yes, so. And they'll talk about how Rip got there and his story. Mm-hmm. Dude, Rip's story is pretty cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think he's a cool character just in general. I really enjoyed him so far.
He is, and he's married to some actress. I think, was she, what's her name on Joe Dirt? The girl on there?
I don't remember.
If it's not her, it's her sister, like her twin sister or something.
The first thing I noticed was when I saw him, it took me a minute because I couldn't remember the actor's name, but Cole Hauser's in the first 2 Fast and Furious movies, or maybe more than that too. So we actually talked about him in our Fast and Furious episode with Paul Walker.
Which one is he?
He's the guy that, like, hold on. His name's Carter Veroni. Yeah, he's like a little sleazeball. He's got like greased out black hair, and yeah, he's funny. He's in just 2 Fast and 2 Furious, I think, and that has got to be the worst one by a mile. And he's very notable for it being bad. So when I saw him, I was like, that might be him, and it is, sure enough.
I know he's in some other things that are pretty prominent. I feel like I know the name Cole Hauser
I feel like it's from this. You know what I mean? I feel
Perhaps,
like whenever people talk about this show, it doesn't go very far without them talking about him because everybody loves him and he's like perfectly, you know, jaded and he's so loyal and undying. And I'm sure he does a bunch of crazy shit because I've already seen him do crazy stuff. But like, it's redeemable just because of how like in love with Johnny is essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So pretty much this episode is as long as 2 normal episodes. So I don't want to take away, but it's kind of character building as far as, you know, getting all the people in the scenario out there.
The core group. Yeah.
The core group, but you've got the enemies already out there, and things like that. And so to end the episode off again, Lee gets killed by Casey's wife's brother, who he didn't really like much. Like they kind of had a tiff. He sees it happen and he kills his wife's brother. So now he's got a dilemma with that because he doesn't want to tell her, everything like that. He ends up taking Lee's lifeless body, putting it on his horse, and taking the body back to the Dutton Ranch, and that's kind of where it leaves off. So after the ending, what were your thoughts after one episode on this?
Casey was kind of an interesting character. I thought that I was immediately kind of wrapped into his dynamic. Before even walking into this TV show, there was 2 people that I knew I was going to enjoy, and it was Casey and John. I mean, I think the love for Casey runs deep with the fans of this show for one reason or another. So I already kind of had a feeling that he was going to be important. Obviously, has been already in one episode, but also the acting style of Luke Grimes is really amazing. He's kind of like, you can tell he's just trying to figure stuff out, and he's like the quintessential younger brother. And I don't know, there's a lot going for him already early in the show, and he definitely caught my eye. So he was a takeaway for me for sure.
And he's not an unknown character, an unknown actor. I think he's an American Sniper. Like he's in a lot of decent movies.
Yeah. Magnificent Seven, he's in too. I really love American Sniper. Everybody that was in that I thought did pretty good. So
yeah, definitely. So I think he will continue to be one of the best characters in this. I really love Rip. Just
hard not to. I think just
hard not to.
You know, the friend everybody wants. You know what I mean? I think that.
Well, he's the most loyal person.
I think that's what I mean. Yeah.
And it's weird because him and Beth kind of, hang out a little bit, and it's like they're both so loyal to John. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And kind of what we were talking about before, Beth wants nothing to do with the farm. She's talked about she'll sell it all, and
she makes it clear in later episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, but she is loyal to a fault to her dad, and yeah, so let's take a break real quick, and then when we come back, we'll get into episode 2.
Sounds good.
Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this series here we got on YouTube. I wanted to let you know that we have a podcast called Apex Mountain, where we try to find the apex of an actor or actress's career. You can check out that podcast on any platform, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also help us out by heading on over to our Patreon. We only have a $2 tier and a $5 tier. It really would help us out. Otherwise, just keep watching, and thanks for stopping by. All right, welcome back. So let's hop into episode 2, Kill the Messenger. In this episode, Jamie gets summoned to the governor's office because there's an issue. So at first they thought that Lee and Casey's wife's brother killed each other in a shootout. But they noticed that Lee couldn't have shot the other brother because he was shot he would have been paralyzed where he was shot. And there was 5 shots to the chest, very close range, and then a shot to the head. So they're trying to figure all that out. And then, it just kind of, do they even really talk about it anymore?
I think it immediately goes into showing more of John's characteristics. I mean, now we get to meet why he owns 200,000 acres. You don't get to own 200,000 acres for being a nice guy. And that the mafia part of what I said about the first episode really starts coming into play, where it's like, pulling strings, asking for favors, twisting arms, literally killing people that are potentially in the way. A guy gets killed in this episode that's not even really an issue. He's just like a potential issue in the coroner. So it's like they're like, you have anything on that laptop? He's like, no. And they're like, not good enough. We're going to kill you. It's like, okay. Yeah, you really get to see the bad side, the business side of John, I think, is the point of this episode.
Well, they're smart too. And it's like, you know, they unbury their, you know, Lee, they cremate him, and they, you know, just smart, you know, but it's crazy. This is when it starts to get like, whew, almost unbelievable. I mean, it is unbelievable, obviously, but
I'm ready to talk about unbelievable whenever you want. Casey's life is like so convenient for story purposes that it's pretty jarring. It like takes me out of the element of the show a little bit, because like literally every time he walks outside, something fucking crazy happens.
Yeah.
Every time. Like, can he just like go to the gas station and come back home and something not blow up or him not get shot at? Like, what the fuck is going on in Casey's life?
The meth lab is important because he switches the gun, the top of the gun with the cop.
Right.
So, and that was the gun that killed her brother.
Oh, okay.
So if there's any, you know,
that
link,
makes sense.
It's got a link.
I didn't put that together while we were watching. While I watched it.
So the reason I bring it up is because that was my first thought whenever I saw it the first time.
I think that also showed the power of rainwater. Like, that was the first time we actually saw him have sway over something. I mean, he drove around in an SUV, had people with him, you know, that kind of thing. He talked to the governor a bit. He had that kind of thing going for him. But this was the first time where it's like his morality is a little blurred, and here's him actually flexing his muscle a little bit. Nothing crazy, but it's like police officers who are Native Americans to the area are definitely underneath his wing.
Right. And it was at that point when they had to go wash off the sens or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. But you know, pretty much for this episode, they go in, they blow up the coroner's office because the dude is smoking, what was it, embalming fluid?
Yeah.
And so they're trying to make it look like he tried to kill himself.
Right.
Which,
I mean, he was a loose cannon, so it's not exactly like, you know, they didn't just pick a random person and then stage it. So. And
what's annoying is, at least the way I see it, you know, as a dad or something, is Jamie went and figured all that out, that this dude was like this. And then he's like, hey, Dad, I want to run for, what's he running for?
Attorney General.
Attorney General.
The state's Attorney General, or,
Yeah. And the dad's like,
no,
maybe.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, I'll think about it. And then he gets Beth to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty pissed off about that, but I think we'll get into that in the third episode, right?
Yeah, I think we will too.
Anyway, so this is the second episode, kind of goes, you know, in and out. You know, you've got the meth lab explosion, you've got the dinosaur bones, which really leads to nothing. I don't know if that was just
nothing. And I almost, without knowing anything past episode 3, I almost guarantee they lead to nothing. Like, it doesn't make any sense in the context of the show. I'm sure they come up again. I'm sure it's like a father-son thing. It's like a weird, you know, situation next to their house. It's not nothing, but it's not going to be like an important storyline. It's
I don't recall it ever leads to anything. Like, I don't think
it's like, why even add this? It's so weird. It's like, can we just have a moment where Casey's like an interesting character that isn't getting pulled into like some kind of weird Scooby-Doo scene? Like, you know what I mean? How many times can this happen?
We definitely get to that point where it kind of evens out. You know, right now we're kind of on a high keel with him. You know, and as we start episode 3, you know, he's out at the shooting range with the son.
Yeah.
And then the son's like, dude, are you about to go back to join the Navy SEALs? They talked about that in season 2 where he was going to get away. He can't really talk to his wife about the things that he's going through because he just killed her brother.
Right.
And then he's talking about, joining the SEALs. So after the shooting.
Do you think, and I'm sure him killing her brother does not go away. I'm sure that's a continued thought in the show. But at this point in time for you, just 3 episodes in, do you feel like her character would have, how do you think she would have processed that right now? If he said, like, all right, like your brother tried to kill your brother did kill my brother, and then I kind of defended myself. They put it in this weird gray area where, like, yeah, he definitely like executed the dude, kind of. But at the same time, it's like he was shooting at me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
I know
how
time
do I
passed.
think she would act?
Yeah, right now with it being fresh.
I know how she would act, so I'm not gonna.
Well, I'm assuming that she reacts at some point. Is it down the road or is it soon? Because if it's down the road, people react differently based on time.
Right. So she reacts to a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
So I know, and it's annoying. And she's actually, I hate to say this because she's gorgeous. I think she's a great actress, but her character I hate. It's so boring. No, altogether.
You're boring. We did, just for anybody watching, we did a Talented Mr. Ripley on our podcast, and that was one of our favorite lines from that show or that movie. You're so boring.
It's boring. You can be quite boring.
There was some Reddit response, kind of people wondering about what's going to happen in season 4, and man, I wish I could. Somebody called her. I don't remember what they call her. I'll have to bring it up for next episode. But
it's
dude,
fine.
It is so funny.
It won't be too long before we start unraveling everything, and then you can stop sitting on everything you know. But
yeah, exactly.
I don't think she's that bad yet. I kind of get it if I were her, because every time he's around, she's like, "What the fuck is going on? I literally was taking a shower, and now there's dinosaur bones in our yard. What are you doing?" So,
and I'm pretty sure by next episode we'll see some stuff with her that I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why did this happen?
Yeah.
But we'll definitely get to that. Right now she's okay because she seems like a normal wife, like, you know, whatever. Yeah. But I don't like her character as a whole from season 1 to 3.
Is there any characters that you have at this point in time, or just period, I suppose, that you aren't big on? I know you really can't go into everything because you have whole development, but like at this point, 3 episodes in, is there anybody that you're like, Jesus Christ, with this person?
Her. She's, I think, the only one in the whole series, personally. And you know, if you listeners think different, you know, or have reasons, I'm not thinking of, you know, let me know in the comments or something. But I just can't really get into her later on, especially because the shit that goes on, it's like, dude, like, come on, okay, I get it, but come on.
Yeah.
So getting back into this, Casey and Tate are driving back. Casey sees this random van. He says, "Kids, stay in the car. I'm going to go investigate this random van." See somebody tied up, tells his kid to go get into a sewage drain, and then goes after these people. Dude, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. I kept giving him the benefit of the doubt because he has the military experience, and I'm sure he has like a better idea of his surroundings than the average person. And I try to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's like, I don't know, man. Wouldn't it have been fine for the kid to just be in the truck? Like, did he really? I mean, I know you're going to take the truck. Does he have to be in the drainage pipe? Like, what?
Well,
something's
my only
weird
thought
here. Is there a better way of handling this?
Well, he sees somebody tied up. So somebody's been stolen. So the only thing I can think of is he didn't want his kids stolen. But later, whenever he takes the girl back to her family, he tells them to stay in the car, and he goes inside for who knows how long to talk about it.
For a long time.
Dude, what are you doing?
I don't know. I feel like the kid could have came in the house maybe.
Yeah.
Because he sat there forever. He sat there on the couch while the whole family got down to the bottom of what was going on. He just sat there. And the kid listened to him for all of about 5 seconds when they were out in the country. And he said, sit in the car. Who knows what the kid's doing out there if you're sitting on the couch for an hour?
Yep.
You know what I mean? I guess he's got the rattlesnake tail, so.
That's true. Dude, that's insane. So
that is insane. How old is that kid right now at this point?
I think they say it like 8 maybe.
Shoot. When I was 8, I was not kicking rattlesnakes in the face.
That kid's hardcore though, dude. Living on that reservation.
Yeah. Well, okay, I feel like it's funny because like I'm assuming that we're supposed to think as an audience he doesn't want to leave the drainage thing because his dad told him not to. Right. He needs to just defend his ground because I can't leave because I'll get in trouble, like the kid mindset. Yeah. He didn't have that mindset in the truck when it was safe. Why would he have that mindset when he's being attacked? Like wouldn't you be like, fuck this and get out because he got out of the truck when there wasn't a problem. You know what I mean? Right. I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of inconsistent.
That's true. And so at this point, like, we don't know what the van is, what's going on.
No.
They say nothing about the girl.
Mhm.
He takes them back to the family, and then they go and burn the bodies that Casey killed.
Mhm.
And so at this point, we're in episode 3, and he's got 4 bodies to his name now, right?
Right.
So it's like, dude, at some point he needs to chill out
And
a
the
little
first
bit.
one is like him staring in the mirror and like really going through it after killing his wife's brother or girlfriend's brother or whatever they are.
Wife,
And he's really going through it. And then the next 3 people he kills, it's like, whatever, fuck it. They're just,
Well, yeah.
people got to kill. It's like, what the hell? Like, how is
Yeah.
this affecting you sometimes?
Yeah, pretty much. So, all right, to wrap up kind of our discussion here. So we go back to the house, and Jamie and Beth are siblings, and you can tell that just they have this rift between them.
Yeah.
And we don't know why, but they just don't get along. So John wants Beth to be the attorney general. Beth is just having a day. She goes out and gets in a trough butt naked and is, almost
Is
in a
that the
hot
beginning
tub.
of episode 3?
Yes, pretty close
Okay.
to it.
All right.
So what is your take on Beth? What are you seeing so far?
So I don't really know how to explain how I feel about Beth. From what I understand, I'm supposed to just think that she's complicated as a viewer. I don't think I'm supposed to hate her or love her. I think it's just supposed to be like, wow, she is truly flawed and truly pent up in rage, and she's like surrounded by guys, and she has no woman figure that she can look up to. Her mom didn't like her, or at least was too hard on her. We saw the flashback in episode 3, I believe.
That's what started episode 3.
Okay. So, there's a lot going on, and there's some excuses for her, behavior. But at the same time, it's like, to me, it's like, I don't know. There's something about her that's like the pain is almost too raw. I feel like everyone just in general as human beings kind of has a baseline of how they act and how they react to things. And you certainly have highs and lows, but like this happened to her, and she had this traumatic moment when she was, I don't know, like 8, 9, when she was on a horse, when she shouldn't have been and was forced to do things she shouldn't have done. Then her mom falls off and dies and all that. And I'm sure that, brings a lot of rage and a lot of therapy sessions are needed for that never happened. But like, I don't know, man, she's like 30 something. And it's like, she's like so fiery that it just doesn't seem authentic, like a real human being. She seems like she's in a soap opera and everybody else is in this TV show. Mm-hmm. And she just has moments for me where it's like way too much.
There's a reason for that, and it might take 3 seasons to get through all the shit.
I don't hate her. I kind of get it, but it's like,
so she is probably top 3 of my favorite throughout season 3 up to season 3. There's a lot, and there's a lot to get into with her, but even just the first 3 episodes. So she comes back to the house. Yeah. She tears the picture off the wall of the family. And you're like, well, that's kind of weird. And then she's talking about she hates the horses and she hates
she's just
Jamie.
Like so like filled with hate. You know what I mean?
She's okay with Lee. She's okay with Casey. And she's, head over heels for her dad. And then it goes to the flashback of the mom just being she is bitch. So mean.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And so what I took from the first 3 episodes is that she really loved her mom. It's her mom, obviously, but she's very resentful of the way she was treated by her mom.
Yeah.
I think she was daddy's little girl, but at one point she even says, Casey, you were her favorite. So, you could tell that there was some favoritism in there, and I think she's just got a lot of she's had a fucked up life. And,
definitely. We haven't seen it all yet, but definitely.
But she is a wicked, smart, fierce alpha person.
Right.
And it's very cool to see later on. So,
I'm excited to see more nuance with her, because right now I feel like it's all like turned up to 100, and it's just like almost to the level where it's like, are people really like this all the time? I'm sure that she'll have more definition to her character later on, but right now it's just like even at the beginning when you meet her and she's like tearing that dude apart, that like oil mogul or whoever he was, she does it like 2 or 3 times. And by the end of it, I'm like, I get it that you're just like going to rip everybody's throat out. It's like, are you really going to do it? Or you just say it and get what you want every time? What are we doing?
I think without, getting into the weeds, obviously, I think she is very good at coming back at people because no one
defense
can hurt her.
mechanism. Yeah.
She's been hurt too much. No one can really hurt her. There's nothing you can say that she can't hurt you worse with.
I feel like Rip might be able to hurt her eventually. She's opening the door a little bit to him in a way that she doesn't to anybody else. I think he almost lets her be herself, like especially when it's just them two, you know? I think she puts her guard down in a way where I don't know, she's not so like fucking feisty all the time, you know? I've only really seen them together like twice for minutes at a time, but he definitely helps her chill out a little bit.
Definitely. And yeah, we're not going to get into that because
Fine.
So overall, first 3 episodes, what do you think?
I'm excited to see the development of John's character. Right now, I think John's kind of an awful person, and we're just now getting into the beginning of it.
Yeah.
He says it's all for his family, but it's really just about him and power. It's kind of like the mafioso tagline of being like, this is for my family, but in reality, you just have your goons that you call family, and you're just, it's about power. It's not about your family. And it seems somewhat clear to me already that he pins his kids against each other and doesn't provide the love to them on purpose in order to get what he wants. 100%. And he's kind of a piece of shit, but Kevin Costner is amazing and he's got great lines, and I'm excited to see his development. And I'm excited to see him and Rainwater keep verbally punching each other out because they're fun. I like the dynamic.
Totally agree. Short answer. Who do you think won the first 3 episodes?
Ooh, who do I think won? I really took away. I liked Rainwater. I like Casey. And, of course, Rip. I think Jimmy is an underdog right now, though, because I really like this dynamic. They're already setting it up early on in the season. John is very clearly Rip's surrogate dad, and Rip is very clearly going to be Jimmy's. And you can see this, like, downhill slide of dad role figures, role models, and that's interesting to see because I thought it was very cool from a directing style to literally tape Jimmy to a horse and be like, you're breaking the horse, but the horse is going to break you. We're going to make you a fucking cowboy, whether you want to be or not. Yeah. And it was interesting. And I thought it was pretty funny and kind of kept the show light that episode, but also a really cool directing point where they didn't say it to you, but it's very clear that he's now a part of the gang.
I agree. I'm glad you mentioned Jimmy because when I mentioned Beth at being one of my top 3, Jimmy's another one of my top 3.
I could see him having quite the transformation over the next couple seasons.
Definitely. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. That's all I got. We're going to watch the next 2 episodes, I believe. Is that what I said?
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Let's do the next 2 episodes, and we'll be back here in a couple days to review those. So thanks for stopping by. If you like this, give us a follow.
Check us out on Apex Mountain
Podcast. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't say that. Our podcast, we do weekly movie reviews. Try and find the apex of somebody's career. So, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear about next week's episodes, and let us know if you're excited for season 4 because I am. I am Tanner Knox. Jacob.
Ciao.